Yo, what is up? Welcome to NinjaGeek Games. With Essen Spiel just around the corner, I decided to do two things. Firstly, convince my wife I'm going to Germany for a board game convention and not a month-long beer fest, although I think she'd prefer the latter. And secondly, share a blitz review of the top 10 games with solo mode that I'm most excited about. Why solo, you ask? Well, you think it's because I have no friends, but I do. I have loads. Hundreds even. I asked each and every one of them if they wanted to attend Essen with me, and they both said no. I begged and one said yes. Now, not all the games on this list are Essen specific releases. Some are relatively new and others have been around for some time but have spiced things up with a cheeky expansion. It's unlikely I'll be getting every single game on the list due to cost and weight, but also because I have no plan on how I'd sneak these games past my wife on my return. Ninja by games, not by nature. Let's take a look. At number 10 is... it's like that, is it? At number 10 is the White Castle from De Vere, and no, this is not a well-established burger joint. The game boasts resource management, worker placement and dice drafting, which cover a few of my favourite mechanics. Here you take on the role of a clan leader trying to gain position at court. The main board area represents the castle and its extremities, and the game has these really cool 3D bridges where you draft your dice and place them onto various spots on the main board or into your play area. Some areas allow dice of any colour and others allow only a dice of specific colour, and depending on the value of the dice you'll gain or lose money. Dice placement allows you to carry out actions that is tied to specific tiles, although these can change during the game. You can also make use of worker meeples, but these cost resources in the form of iron, food, pearl and daimyo seals, and your player board has action spaces to gain these with dice. The theme of this game is awesome and it looks like it comes in quite a small box, and with only 9 turns a relatively quick playtime. Portals from Crowd Games looks like a cool little abstract game where you travel between worlds drafting coloured elemental stones and placing them onto keycards. I like both Sagrada and Azul, but this one caught my eye just by the table presence alone as it looks great, and I'm a sucker for a puzzle game. You'll need to fill the requirements of keycards, which are set out in a market-like area and can have between 2 and 4 stones on each. These are then transferred in any orientation to larger boards where you can gain victory points if you are able to place stones on tiles of the same colour or adjacent to other stones of the same colour. There is also a cool looking sideboard providing spells if you spend your stones here instead, and this appears similar to the cards in Sagrada that allow you to manipulate the rules in some way. Again, another game with short playtime, but it does look to be a bit of a thinker, which I don't mind. At number 8 is Furnace, an engine builder that I've not played yet. Now, this has been on my radar for some time, but there is an expansion coming that allows a solo mode to be played. In the base game, you take on the role of 19th century capitalists, extracting resources and buying companies, and it kind of sounds like you're exploiting the economy. The expansion Interbellum allows you to move forward into the 20th century and introduces a variety of abilities, cards, as well as components for a 5th player too. As this piqued my interest, I do have an appointment with Arcane Wonders to take a look at this, so I'm excited to see how it plays out. A year or so ago, Ares Games released the very popular War of the Ring card game. Again, I desperately wanted this, but didn't think it would get much game time, so I gave it a miss. I've been hearing good things about it, none more so than an expansion is coming that allows solo and cooperative play. Finally. Against the Shadows boasts a sophisticated solo mode with a deck of 60 Automa cards and 6 new location cards, as well as a flowchart that controls the AI actions. The artwork for the Automa looks incredible, and although I'm a huge fan of the IP, I really hope the solo mode does the game's justice, so I'll definitely pop by Ares' booth to look at this. At number 6 is an Essen release Apiary from Stonemaier Games. Most of the games are popular, where I enjoy Tapestry and love Scythe. Now for me, I do sometimes gravitate towards games with themes that I prefer over gameplay, which is why I never picked up Wingspan. It just doesn't appeal to me. But a worker placement with bees in space, now you're talking. The art for this game looks just as good as the components, where you get 20 factions, some awesome looking miniatures that even includes a queen. I'm buzzing. Typically, the game incorporates engine building, and apparently there is some form of random setup for player faction and starting hives, which I assume is similar to that of Scythe. It's likely this will sell out before I get a look in, as I don't attend Essen until the Thursday, but I'll keep my fingers crossed. Revive is a wonderful looking game where you take the lead of a tribe and can populate, build and explore. Although the base game already has a solo mode, I didn't know much about the game until recently, and that was only by checking out the expansion Call of the Abyss. The base game comes with these huge double-layered boards that at first glance look incredibly complex to navigate, but the expansion introduces a mysterious life form called Cyphos. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, and new tribes. I believe the solo mode is a beat your own score system, which is not to everyone's taste, but as long as it provides an engaging experience, I'm quite looking forward to this. Okay, at 4 is Bonsai from DV Games, where you are an expert bonsai master, which means planted in pot. And the aim of the game is simple: grow the best tree. Being green-fingered extraordinaire myself, you can see why I'm intrigued. Firstly, the artwork is fantastic and the tiles and token components representing wood, leaves and flowers look great. During the game, you'll be collecting tiles and adding them to your pot to grow your tree, and the arrangement of these tiles will score you points. During the game, you only have 2 actions that result in you collecting cards and tiles or placing those tiles to grow your tree. The game seems to have a nice scoring mechanism from random tiles selected at setup, so the goals will change with each play, and when playing solo you can add scenarios that change the rules. Okay, number 3, and we're on the home straight, and I've gone big with Voidfall. Not an Essen release, but this is the first time I'll see it in all its glory, and there's a lot. Probably one of the pricier games in my list, as it does come with a lot of content. This looks to be a heavy and complex 4x game where a number of scenarios can be played out, so I'm assuming a good level of replay value. What I like here is there appears to be little luck involved in the game. I may be wrong, but from what I've seen, your outcomes are based solely on your decisions throughout the game. That includes a high level of resource management and some skirmishes. I do like my heavy games, so this one doesn't scare me off, only the weight does, and if it will fit in my suitcase. At number 2 is Planta Nubo, a game of growing energy-rich flowers and plants in cloudy gardens and generating the most oxygen, so it says. And this appears to be the second game on my list involving plants. Now, I've already pre-ordered this, so all I need to do is pick it up. The game has some nice tile placement mechanics akin to A Feast for Odin, worker placement and drafting actions. The downside to this: the rules are in German, but I've been promised an English rulebook at collection, and the game components are not language dependent, which is good news. Now, admittedly, I don't know too much about the game. There aren't a lot of reviews around, and yes, I've judged the game by its cover. But it does look promising, and at least I can talk to those working on the booth when I go to collect. That's a good enough reason, right? Hitting the top spot is Nucleum, where I tried very hard to get a demo with Paul Grogan, who will be looking after this game at the Board and Dice booth. I also tried to grab a pre-order copy for collection, but missed out by just 1 day. This is a heavy Euro, where you take on the role of an industrialist during the 19th century that is fueled by a nuclear reactor. The game promises contract completion, hand management, networking and tech trees, just to name a few, and wonderful looking boards and components. Now, I'm a big fan of Brass Birmingham, and my first thought was that it sounded similar to Nucleum, but from what I've seen in the Excellent Gaming Rules playthrough video is it does provide a different gaming experience. What I like here is there are no rounds. Players just continue taking turns one after the other, which is pretty cool. The game seems to have so many moving parts with lots of decisions on which actions and contracts to take in place, and I'm really hoping to come away with a copy. That's it, a blitz review of the solo games that I'm looking forward to picking up or trying at Essen. As it's my first time there, I'll likely be completely overwhelmed by the sheer size, so if you see me wandering around aimlessly, please come over, say hi and have a chat. I'd be interested to know what you think of my list and your recommendations. Thanks for watching. This is NinjaGeek Games. Cheers.